and 28 Weeks Later and some others, I thought, how can I possibly use these resources to make short films? Which I did. And I coined that phrase, surfing the main unit, in order to do that.
So maybe just start off with the terminology. So basically you were producing EPK on feature films. I hate to call it EPK. What is an EPK? Let's start a base level corporate.
It stands for Electronic Press Kit. So when you make a feature film, you do pretty dry interviews with all the casts and some of the heads of departments, and you film a little bit of the filmmaking process, and that gets cut down and generally goes out as part of a press kit to film, to television, radio, and newspapers. The slightly more sexier version we'd probably call behind the scenes, which is what sometimes get turned into cool DVD extras, which sounds like a very old term now, actually.
They still exist. DVDs and DVD extras still exist.
Yeah. So I was employed to do behind the scene. There was an EP. This is the difficulty. There was an EPK crew on Sunshine. Sunshine was the first film I did behind the scenes on. That's Danny Boyle's sci-fi film. There was an EPK crew, and I was employed at the time. I think YouTube had just been invented, so they wanted some I guess we'd call it content now, wouldn't we, darling? They wanted some extra content to go on YouTube to advertise the film. So this was behind the scenes stuff that was coming out before the film was actually released.
But there was quite a comprehensive website as well being built at the time, wasn't there?
Yes, there was, yeah.
So how did you find yourself doing EPK or behind the scenes? How did you get the job? You don't walk from being a local filmmaker onto the set of the latest Danny Boyle sci-fi movie and get told you can do what you like. Unless that is how it works, which case, why are we all here?
I guess to step back a moment, I've always believed that if you're to do something creative, you just got to do it, and you've got to start showing your work. So that began many moons ago, actually, when I was working with you, David Holloway, because we were sort of frustrated filmmakers who wanted to make films. So we decided to just go out there and put on a film night, which we called Media Lounge, which was on in what was the pub called? I can't remember.
The pub was called the Lesco, and this was before YouTube existed.
Yeah, so we put on short films there. And then when I moved to London, I spent a time unemployed. I just wanted to make stuff and do stuff. And camera phones had just been invented. So I set myself the objective of making beautiful images with camera phones, even though they were 0.1 megapixel, which is about postage stamp sort of size. So I set about putting together the world's first camera phone photography exhibition, which happened in Liverpool at the Arena Gallery, which I don't think exists anymore. And that was in 2005. And then I was at a dorky computer game festival, and I just received the pictures I was going to put up as part of the exhibition. And sat next to me in the pub was this lovely American lady called Gia Milinovich. And she'd been employed she was a blogger at the time, and she'd been employed to blog the making of Sunshine. And she sort of was sat next to me. Oh, no, I'm getting ahead of myself, actually. She was going to be blogging the Royal Television Society conference in 2005. And she sat next to me and she saw my camera phone photos and asked if I'd be the official camera phone photographer at the Royal Television Society in 2005. Which had never been done before. So I worked with her on that, got to know her quite well. Her next job after that was blogging Sunshine. So she asked me if I knew any filmmakers, which I said, well, I'm actually one. So she had a look at my show reel. I sent her over crap that we'd made. Interestingly, I made a DVD for her to show her example my work. And I was babysitting Daniel Radcliffe at the time. He would have been about 14 or something like that. I can't remember. Babysitting him. So I got him to deliver my show reel to Gia Milinovich's house in London. So yeah, that friend, boy,
Sir, true story. When we were younger, I was employed to answer his fan mail.
He's kept us in work for a long time, that boy.
There's some jobs you do. So you met Gia.
Yeah.
And she was working on this Danny Boyle movie. Why was she working on it?
Well, she was a relatively well-known blogger at the time, and they wanted someone to blog the making of it.
So she brought you on board?
She brought me on board as a...
And what exactly did you do whilst on the set of Sunshine, which made you sort of be able to cultivate this new way of thinking? Because surely regular EPK is quite boring, right? Because you have to contend with stars and studios and visual messaging and correct language. There's all these.
Well, I think it's the opposite, really. Weirdly, I think it's one of the best jobs in the world because, like you said, a film set is a pretty locked down facility with lots of rules and regulations. However, if you think behind the scenes, you're allowed to go anywhere you want, and you're sanctioned to talk to anyone you want. And in that way, you get to meet absolutely everybody. You know, you can happily go talk to Cillian Murphy or Michelle Yeoh, and if you're a slightly amenable sort of chap, then you could go anywhere and do anything. So it's actually a super cool job, and it's a great way of learning about the whole filmmaking process because you can watch from every single angle and talk to every single person on set.
So you decided to take advantage of that.
Well, on Sunshine, see, they built these huge. So normally when you make a film in a studio, you would have two or three walls and all the cameras behind it. But on Sunshine, they actually made spaceships because they wanted it to feel claustrophobic. So the cameras were actually in these spaceships effectively. So they looked so real and so beautiful that I fantasized. You know, when after the day was finished, really at lunchtime, everything was just empty. All these huge spaceships were empty. And I sort of fantasized about making a short film on this ludicrously beautiful set, but didn't have the guts to do it at the time.
So there's a video you made on Sunshine, which might be worth showing, which is the one of you and Gia sneaking onto the set.
Yes.
Yeah, you show that as
Now that is brilliantly SD YouTube 2005 because I couldn't find the original file. So you might not even be able to see, you might have to squint or all come down to the front to actually see this. Let's have a look. Where is it? It might be in there. Airlock sneak. It might be called that. Let's have a look. Yeah, look how tiny it is. Well, we get to turn the lights off. I'll try and make it bigger, but you genuinely might want to come down if you actually want to see this. It'll be pretty shit quality. Let me blow it up. I mean, you can try, baby. Yeah. Let's have a look. Oops, sorry. Actually, let's open it quick time. Okay, brilliant. I wonder if this other file's bigger. Let's have a look. Oh, it's a bit bigger, but it's stretched. Let's try that one anyway. So.
We're not supposed to film on the set today, but everyone is as much, so we could go onto the airlock set. And this is just one of the coolest sets ever. It's like being on a spaceship. So cool. So, there's a thing. It's tall. I can hear them coming back from lunch. Listen. They turned on the radio at 7 minutes.
So you can see the sets were like all around. You know, there was no kind of fourth wall that you could set cameras up in. So they were really beautiful, really detailed. And yeah, I guess we're talking about restrictions. There were some things we weren't meant to film, but the spacesuits were quite top secret. So we weren't allowed to film those.
See, what I find interesting about that is I think it's a really good piece of marketing because it brings people immediately and it makes them feel they're part of the secret, that they're part of something that should be going on. And that makes me infinitely more interested in whatever film is being made than whatever your standard flashy, well-cut trailer looks like.
Yeah. You're saying it isn't flashy and well-cut there?
I'm saying it's very well, not so flashy. Not compared to the words, it's I mean, if we get beyond 240 pixels, then we'll do it.
Beautiful. Yeah, that was just something tiny, isn't it? But I think at the time, YouTube wouldn't even accept things that were like SD. It had a restriction at about 360 or something like that. It was enough. It was really, really small. Oh yeah, so what we say, so that gives the example of how beautiful the sets were and how kind of enclosed they were. So yes, I did fantasize about sneaking in there and making a short film, but at the time, it was like my first job, bit scared, didn't really know how to write or clearly how to make films, so didn't do it.
How many of those did you make for Sunshine?
I think I made about 30 or something like that.
So they were on YouTube, they were on the website.
They were on the website and YouTube, yeah, probably prior to the film's release, and then they're on the DVDs, yeah.
So how then, therefore, did you then get to 28 weeks later?
So Sunshine is produced by DNA Films, and so is 28 weeks. So is 28 weeks later. So after they finished Sunshine, they went to production for 28 weeks later. She's obviously the sequel to 28 Days Later. And again, they asked me if I would vlog the making of it. And because I thought I was so big time, I was like, oh, I've done that now. I want to do something different. So I pitched them the idea that we'd do Surfing the Main Unit. We would actually make short films based in the universe of 28 Weeks Later, using the resources on set. To which they said, absolutely not. That's a fucking ridiculous idea. There's no way we're going to let you do that.
As would I.
Yeah. So I ended up making some behind the scenes short videos instead. However, there was an itch that needed to be scratched. So I didn't kind of give up on this idea. And one night when they were filming a huge scene with loads of military tanks and guns, it's when the infection is kind of released out of the streets of London, and there's loads of military, loads of infected, loads of extras running around screaming. I thought, fuck it, we should go make film. We should go make a film using that as the backdrop. So I had an actor friend of mine called Dan, who we signed up as an extra so that he could actually be on set in the film. I stood back, filmed him being part of the film. And then when they'd finished that scene up, I took him out and filmed a kind of backstory little vignette about his journey within the film. And that was the first time I ever did proper Surfing the Main Unit.
So he was like a double secret spy. He was acting one film, but secretly acting another film at the same time.
Exactly. Yeah, baby.
Do you want to show?
Well, maybe we should watch that show. I feel a wonderful resolution that's should we find out, everybody? Okay. I do apologize about the sound. It's just coming out of the projector.
What was it called? I think it was called Welcome to London.
I'll just have to check which. Let's try the one that says new sound, shall we? See if that works. Where?
Juice.
Like heat.
The juice.
No control. So there's Dan, and amongst everybody, some infected attacking some people. So that's actually in the film. This scene is in the film.
So.
There you go. That was the first Surfing the Main Unit.
So basically, you were paid to do one job in the film.
Yeah.
You stuck your mate on made laughing.
Yeah.
And then you were doing something you were explicitly told not to do.
Yeah.
By the producers.
I never thought of it like that.
Unless we forget, this is Samuel Doll who produced Trainspotting, but this isn't like some wet behind here. This is the biggest producers in the UK, and Did you hide it or did you tell them what you'd done?
Well, let me just explain what. See, these guys are all made up for the film. They're actors are in the film, and this, to be able to get those sort of that level of sort of makeup and costume is just quite remarkable, really. So I mean, this is made for zero budget, I guess. This is our friend. These are all made up for the film. That's another friend of mine, Phil Stool, that I worked with. He gets his face smashed in. And all the background stuff is actually in the film. So you get a huge amount. I mean, look at all that kind of resource there that we've just got for free. But yeah, so what I did with this, I then showed this to Andrew McDowell. I said, look, I know you told us not to do it. I've done it anyway. These are results. Can we make, now that you've seen it, can we make some more with your blessing? And he actually, he loved it. He said, this is great. And he gave us some money to make some more. So I think he gave us £5,000, which seemed like an awful lot of money at the time.
Been the era before smartphones, there's a lot of money, yeah.
Yeah. So then we made, I think, 4 more films, using the various sort of levels of resources.
What came first, like with the idea for the film, or did you look at what resources you had on set that day, or you were coming up that week? How did you decide what shots you were going to make and what you were going to use?
For this one, all we knew was there was going to be a big scene with loads of people. So, and I think we came with the idea that evening. We were like, look, we have to use this big setup. What can we do? So we're in the car. We grabbed Dan, said, let's come with us. We don't quite know what we're doing. We'll just come with us. We'll think of the idea all the way there. And yeah, in driving to the set, we came up with this idea that there would be some mistaken identity, that Dan, in amongst the confusion, bump into someone, think that he's infected, kill him, and it turns out that he's not infected. And yeah, we just thought about it in the car all the way there.
And so for the rest of them, did you plan more?
Do you know what? I can't quite remember. There was a bit of both. After we'd done that, we got a bit of money. We certainly sat down and tried to think of some ideas that would be interesting. I can't remember what films we made. You might have to tell me, David.
Well, I mean, okay, what I'm interested in, I guess, is did you have restrictions? Well, I knew on the other side that he liked the films you were doing, gave you some money. Did he then sort of send a memo out to heads of department saying, yo, this guy's making some films?
No. But basically, because we knew a lot of the heads of department, because we worked on Sunshine, a lot of the same people left. And we'd been filming on 20 weeks later. I say we, that guy that got his face smashed in was a guy called Phil Stool, and he was kind of my partner in crime at the time. So because we'd been hanging around on set, I mean, this is why I think this concept's actually quite difficult to do, because it's only possible because we kind of knew everyone on set already because we'd been working there. So if we needed someone to be made up like an infected, we could go to Christine, who was doing the makeup, and say, do you mind like doing some extra makeup on this person? Or if we needed some props, we could just go and speak to the proper department. Or if we needed an extra location looking down, there's one that we made called 77 Days Later, where we have a guy count on top of a building. And that building had been hired out by the production, so there was no one in and around the area. So we just asked if they had any rooftops we could film on. And they directed us to this one. So yeah, there was no message from the top that we were allowed to do what we do. It had to come, it was our responsibility to try and ingratiate ourselves with the rest of the crew so they would allow us to fuck around on their sets, basically.
So some of the films you used, like the sets and disbands and the cast story system, some films we used kind of kept in universe, but you did outside of the main.
Yeah. I mean, if we look at, why don't we watch 28 Seconds Later? Because that uses no sets from the film, but we borrowed weaponry and costumes and makeup, and we actually filmed it at the special effects in the sort of the driveway of the special effects place. So we were using resources from the film. There's some dead bodies in it. We borrowed a dead monkey that we borrowed, which was from 28 Days Later, actually. So it was kind of like borrowing props and expertise, but we didn't actually shoot on set. Should we watch that on?
Yeah, let's watch that one.
On that, let's check out the Brazil. Oh, that was his ProRes. Wow. Big to fucking hell. Jesus. It's huge.
I don't know. What I find really interesting about these is, on one hand, you've got some incredible resources at your fingertips, which a lot of filmmakers don't have. You've got these sets, these extras, movies, these heads of department. But at the same time, you are also relying on yourself as a filmmaker to be able to tell some kind of story that's coherent, that you can improvise to a certain degree. I'm assuming none of that was shot listed.
I think we did actually have a vague shot list for that one. Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, it was ideal that some military man gets attacked and infected very quickly. But I mean, that was it. Yeah. But I mean, it's quite, I guess it could take you through what resources we had here. So the costume is borrowed from the costume department, the mask and all that sort of stuff. The weaponry is borrowed from the armory, although, so you'll notice this weapon never got fired because like to have it actually shoot on set, we would have needed an armorer there, which we didn't really have permission for. So hence it gets jammed, funnily enough. I mean, these dead bodies are borrowed from the film, which are pretty nasty. I mean, these cost thousands of pounds to make these things, so to have those is pretty amazing. Yeah, you may have spotted the monkey from 28 Days Later coming up some point. There he is. That's the monkey from 28 Days from the lab. Again, I mean, I don't know how much that would cost, but an awful lot of money to have that made. Then again, all these charred bodies are from 28 Weeks Later. And that's the unit where this industrial unit is where the special effects are all made. So we kind of borrowed their offices on I think it was a Saturday afternoon. Again, just notice there's a head underneath the car lab. Excellent. And yeah, these are all bits of body parts from 28 Weeks Later. That there is Mel B's cousin, most girls. And these were all the people in this film were all people who were extras in the film. And they were all made up by our professional special makeup person, special effects and makeup person. So that was borrowed from the film as well.
Were extras chomping a bit to join you?
Oh, big time.
Yeah.
Yeah, big time. They all loved being in 20 Minutes Later, but an extra bit of screen time for them. They were queuing up to be in it. It was great, absolutely great. The guy who plays the soldier in here is Jason Curley. I mean, he was just one of those extras who will be running around in that scene you saw before. So to get a starring role in our amazing film, he was loving it. It was great. It was great fun to be able to give him that opportunity as well. It was cool. It was really cool.
So, speaking of opportunities, I imagine you made these by phones. You turned them over to Andrew Donald. He loved them. You passed them on to 20th Century Fox. They loved them.
Yeah.
They put loads of money behind the release. They got pushed out. They're officially canon. That's what happened, I'm assuming.
I don't think any of that happened, really. I think they went on some obscure 20 weeks later website. That was about it, really.
So why is that? If Hunger Doll was so interesting in the idea in the first place, and yeah, they clearly liked them, what happened next to these movies?
I don't know. I think at the end of the day, unfortunately, they are just a bit of marketing, really. And that's what they were used for.
But surely the idea of surfing the unit was embraced.
I mean, again, like I said, I tried to do it on other productions, but it's actually quite, because like I said, you've got to ingratiate yourself with the whole crew. So to go in cold and start doing things like that is quite difficult. I did manage to do a little bit on Son of Rambo, because again, I was there almost from the beginning of shooting, so I got to know quite a lot of people, but that was more messing around with the cast. Like we could show Cribs.
Yeah,
Son of Rambo.
yeah. Quick Cruise a get. She's second a few odd weeks. I think what I was trying to get to actually with 20 stuff was I wanted you to tell us what happened to the idea, because any money or sort of value that came from it was given to something else.
Oh, right. Okay, I see. Yeah. You want me to? I was fucked over, basically. I'm not going to say over. Luckily, all right, fine. I was trying to be nice to a job, but yes. So the idea was taken by a big marketing company in LA, and they made some films in the same way with some of the principal cast, and they were so fucking shit that I think the idea was then killed, like even for me and everyone, which was a bit sad. I might even have some of them on here so you can see how shit they were. Is it on there?
So we're doing about 15 years here. So Tarantino-esque dialogue was still very much the jour. And I think that's what happens. They got taken over by filmmakers trying to imitate someone else. But we can maybe want to run it.
Yeah, I mean, they made some really, really dull backstory about the helicopter pilot or something. Has nothing. I think he had helicopters and not principal cast, but some of the the supporting actors, and it was just really, really shit. And I think when people saw how shit that was, they assumed that Surfing Mania was a bad idea, because if some big LA marketing company can't do it, then how could anyone else do it? So unfortunately, that was what killed the idea.
So you do have a habit of sort of improvising on film sets, though. So this is what I found very interesting at all. I mean, we haven't discussed this ahead of time, but the idea that you did with the Transformers movies with your daughter.
Oh yeah,
is a really interesting story about how an idea about filming something with your kid in your house ended up being promoted by Michael Bay on his Instagram page.
Yeah, I guess, yes. I mean, so having done some of these, I have worked in sort of movie trailers. I worked at a place called Empire Design, and we had Transformers in the building to do marketing for. And I proposed an idea that we get children who'd never seen the Transformers movies to react to the Transformers trailer. And I had a 5-year-old daughter at the time. And again, they sort of said, no, it's a silly idea. And so I just went and did it. And filmed my daughter reacting to the trailer, and then showed it to Empire Design, who then showed it to whoever makes Transformers. I can't remember, Universal or someone. And then they showed it to Michael Bay. Somehow saw it, and he was like, "Great, I want this. This is fantastic." So I then sort of had this huge. It went from me filming my daughter in the shed to hiring a huge studio in London. We're getting loads of kids down there to react to this trailer. And I mean, it's funny because we spent an awful lot of money getting kid actors and this fucking big studio and all these fucking red cameras and shit. And the one video that Michael Bay chose to go on his website and the Transformers website was the one I filmed in my shed with my daughter.
There's a lesson there, isn't there?
We should watch that. I didn't bring it with me.
No, it's a shame. That's fine.
Do I find it?
I'll show
Probably online somewhere.
Score that in Michael Bay's Instagram page for 6 years. You'll find it. So, I mean, what have you taken away from this? And I'm aware it's quite an odd situation that you were in, and that very few people are likely to find themselves on the set of a massive action movie in which they're allowed to do sort of relative carte blanche. But there's a lot of skills, I think, which you've picked up and you've used in your work subsequently that I think are really interesting. So, like, what are the main takeaways of this concept of riding on whatever was in front of you?
I've really enjoyed breaking the rules. I think when you break the rules, you can have an awful lot of fun, and you get to go places you're not allowed to go, and you find out the rules are a bit stupid, and that, there's a lot more fun to be had by ignoring them. And that when you do, people are actually quite amenable to it. Like I said, Andy McDowell said no, but then when we showed him what we'd done, he was like, oh, great, here's some money.
Mhm. So what are you working on now that carries a very similar?
So weirdly, I mean, I left behind the scenes for a great many years and sort of went into making movie trailers for a while. But now I'm back doing behind the scenes with Professor Brian Cox. Actually, me and my buddy Mott's over there. We're on our way up to Glasgow tomorrow to film with Brian Cox behind the scenes. So we'll see if we can surf on that main unit.
Well, he said something to you, which you told me the other day, which I think is very telling, about why he wants to hire you in the first place. What was well, you told me that he told you that everything they were making was very standard and normal.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yes, yeah, absolutely right. He's been, many people offered to film stuff for him because he's so fucking dope and cool and sells out I mean, it's amazing how he can sell out an 18,000 O2 arena to talk about physics and black holes. But he was very, very gracious. I mean, I did meet him. He was the science advisor on Sunshine. So we know each other a little bit. But yeah, he gave me a call and said he's sick of all this normal stuff that keeps getting made on his behalf to market his tour. And he wants something just a bit more fucked up and a bit more original. Maybe we should show some of that. Because me and Watsy made some of that. I didn't see, he said, but you can see what we do. We'll have to get online though. Are you online here?
I think it was
Like, oh, maybe I've got it with. Oh, this is your laptop. In it. You got this Chrome?
yeah, we sort of.
If you go to Brian Cox's Twitter page, I think there's one on there. Yeah, no, maybe not. Maybe no.
So also you're working on a film of your own, which again I think carries
Oh,
over a lot of the qualities that you were working on.
that's true. Yes, indeed. So, in lockdown, I decided to use the resources available to me, which is basically me on my own, empty streets, to start making a film, which is now called Prep for Death, which started off as a genuine vlog about my experience of lockdown, which then pretty soon got quite boring. And I decided to turn it into a supernatural thriller where I kind of meet myself and go on this kind of weird journey into my own psyche. Which we could show a bit of that because I do have that on the hard drive.
If you have it, yeah, different.
We got time, Jamie? We have more time.
Does anyone have any questions? I realize this is quite an odd parallel, but
Yeah, what did you so you were filming the on 28 weeks later, you were filming initially on phone, but then the subsequent stuff what was you filming on? Because I know Danny Butler was filming DE tape, wasn't he? Yeah. Best.
He used DV cameras on 28 days later. Yeah, that was all shot on DV, all the 28 weeks later stuff.
Nice. Yeah, got a vibe.
Or for HDV it was better than DV.
which you're still using now. I mean, we talked about Brian Cox. I mean, you're still shooting on that format now.
Well, I mean, with Brian Cox, we're shooting all sorts of fucking crazy shit. I mean, we shot the performance at Wembley on VHS, which I love.
Best format.
Yeah, best one I ever. Can't get
There has been another example of surfing main unit, I think. It's when you were on tour with Usher. Did you make a music video for it?
I did make the music for a very easy summer's tour. Well, kind of, but I mean, yeah, that was live stuff and studio stuff, which you don't know if I'd transit as surf in the main unit really.
But it was unsanctioned.
No, that was all sanctioned. Yeah.
Was it? Oh, right, sorry.
Does anyone else have any other questions?
Just sort of related, but like in terms of how you work now, we're gonna make it feels like there's a big push for like what's called agile content in like what's he at? It's where you do it. Like just extra short form stuff, a lot that runs alongside like the main storyline on like TV and stuff, and just curious whether that's like a world you've seen growing and whether you've been involved in it and how burgeoning that feels as a world and making alongside the main score.
I mean, I guess, yeah, that everyone's crying out for, like you say, content now, aren't they? I don't know, dude. I mean, I sort of left that behind me, went off and made trailers, went off and sort of got married and had children and stuff. And now I'm coming back to it. So maybe it's come full circle and my time has come again to make some agile content, as you say. Yeah.
Are there any other questions?
No, but well,
Go for it.
you still in contact with DNA?
Yes.
Can you get them to do a Dread sequel? Because everyone wants.
I'll ask. Should we take Stanley Victor right now? Get up.
Oh, he really is like to see as well. Yeah. Just,
Obviously, we filmed this moment just in case there's a.
that'd be quite a coup, wouldn't it, for the festival if we managed to get a Dread 2 screen?
I've texted him, are you going to make a Dread sequel? See if he gets back to us before the end. There you go.
And that's the end of this issue. So, are there any other questions before I wrap this up? Cool. Ease. Okay. Well, unless you get a text from $100 in the next 30 seconds, or the internet connection for the show really comes back online. In that case, I will thank you for your time. Thanks. It's been a pleasure. David, thank you. Thank you very much. Ta bak bakayım. Bak.